Thank you to all of you for coming out this evening to support our school and to support this award and its recipients. The Daniel A. Lord Award for Distinguished Service in the Cause of Youth was established at Loyola Academy in 1963 and is to honor those friends of Loyola Academy who have provided a distinguished service in the cause of youth. Now, Reverend Lord was born in 1888. He actually didn't go to Loyola Academy. He went to that other Jesuit high school in the city. Loyola Academy didn't really exist at that time, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack. He was a Jesuit. He was a Catholic writer. He wrote 32 books, 70 plays and musical. He revitalized the sodality program in the United States. And he was the kind of Jesuit that shows us what one person doing can make a difference. He believed in youth. He himself was encouraged by their ideas and was invigorated in turn by their idealism. Now, our current recipients of the award are Peter and Ellen Leemputte, and they're a Loyola family with a Loyola story spanning many generations. Let me give you a little bit of it. There are 4 generations of education, of Jesuit education in their family, and I wrote down a few of the highlights. Ellen's grandfather attended Campion Jesuit High School, Marquette U, and SLU Medical School. Her parents both attended Marquette U. Ellen's 4 brothers, Timothy, Gregory, Peter, and Tony, and Peter and his 2 brothers, Patrick and Michael, are all Jesuit educated, either at the high school, and most of those at Loyola, or at the college level, or both. Peter and Ellen themselves first met 50 years ago at Loyola Academy in 1973 in a German 3 class, which was open at that time to both Ramblers and Regina Dominican students, where Ellen was a student. And I'd kind of like to pause here and say, I think that's one of my favorite parts of their story. I'd like to think that it is and was and will be always emblematic of Loyola Academy and how welcoming we are. But I really do love that part. Peter and Ellen are also the parents of 4 children, all graduates of Loyola Academy, Mary, Peter, John, and Daniel. And they went to Princeton, Stanford, Notre Dame, and Georgetown, respectively. And note that the last 2 of those universities are Jesuit. I'm sorry, the last 3. Right. Peter and Ellen's early support was to Loyola Academy's annual giving program, to the Ramble, and even to the President's Dinner. In 2004, they established the Peter John Leemputte Scholarship in honor of Peter's father. In 2009, they established the Francis E. and Mary R. Schlack Scholarship. Excuse me, this is the emotional part of the speech for me. Excuse me. In honor of Ellen's parents. And Peter's also served on our Board of Trustees from 2016 to 2022. Thank you. You are a woman for others. Thank you, Colleen. And now their multi-million-dollar gift has ensured the building of the McGrath Family Performing Arts Center, showcasing the Leemputte Theater. I'd like to give you 2 quotes, one each from Peter and Ellen. And I think they kind of emblemize who they are. Peter says, "When you give to support families that otherwise can't afford a Loyola Academy education, you really change someone's life, and you can see this impact for generations." Now, Peter started out as a chemical engineer, and I started out as a mechanical engineer, which is almost as good. And that's the kind of thinking I think of. That's the kind of way I think as well. And I appreciate that idea of giving in such a way that it keeps on giving. Similarly, Ellen said, Loyola nurtures you for who you are. Loyola meets kids where they are at and puts a fire under their feet. And the beauty is that they all don't have to go in the same direction. You can get a great education at a lot of places, but it's the values at Loyola that make the difference. Now, I have to admit, I actually don't think that way. However, I think it's the way that a good Jesuit priest would or should think. And so eventually I might get there. But I see aspects of both what I would like to be and what I was in Peter and Ellen. And I really appreciate that in them. Loyola Academy, and I as its president, take great pride in recognizing the extraordinary generosity and leadership of our friends Ellen and Peter Leemputte. We thank them for all they have done to help Loyola Academy. We thank them for all they have done to help the young people who are there now, and we are grateful for the lasting gifts that they have given that will help future students in perpetuity. Please join me in thanking them.
Thank you, Father Greg. I would start by saying Ellen and I honestly don't feel like we're really worthy of this honor, and I mean that. There are so many others here at Loyola Academy who work day and night for the advancement of children, and I think we believe that they would be much more deserving of this award. But nonetheless, we really appreciate the honor, and the award means a lot to us. I want to talk a little bit about, Father talked a little bit about kind of my association with Loyola, and maybe give a little bit more personal spin on it. I grew up with 5 other siblings in a very Catholic, middle-class family. My parents, who were both children of immigrants from Ireland, Germany, and the Netherlands, never had the opportunity to go to college. And so they instilled in all of us, all 6 kids, the importance of education. And when it came time we went to Catholic grammar schools, when it came time to decide on what we're going to do for high school, I think both my twin, Pat, and I, and later on, Michael, all decided we wanted to get the best college prep education possible and help set us up well for ultimately going on to university. And we all made the decision that we wanted Loyola Academy. My parents never forced it, but we did. And with 6 kids, you can imagine my parents were not in the position to finance the cost. And I can still remember my dad, to this day, coming with Pat and I to the open house and speaking to a Jesuit and asking for financial help. And, he was a very proud man. That was not easy for him. But Loyola came through and offered us tuition assistance. And then, along with various summer and weekend jobs we're able to make up the difference. So I'm always going to be grateful for the help we received. Loyola was really transformational in my life. It opened my eyes to a diversity of students that, we had never experienced, from the city to the North Shore and to many different areas of study, like every student there, student science, history, literature, and the arts, while also strengthening my faith. And I'll always remember Loyola, as Father Greg mentioned, because it gave me the opportunity to meet Fräulein Schlacks, as she was known then, in our junior German class. The school wasn't co-ed at that time, but, back in the day, they allowed girls to come over for first period classes. And, it's been 50 years since then that we've been together, and she's the greatest gift in my life. And I'm really proud to be her husband. I came into Loyola as a quiet and somewhat nerdy guy, and I left happy, not as quiet, still nerdy, and with a confidence in the direction I wanted to take my life. And I'm always going to be grateful for that. Father mentioned that Ellen's own family has a long history of Jesuit education. We moved our family around multiple times, I think it was 9, and both in the States and abroad, and we always wanted to get back to the Chicago area so our 4 kids could come to Loyola Academy. And they did, along with another 5 nieces and nephews. So we've been blessed to have so many family members educated by the Jesuits across the 4 generations. And I'm looking at my own children, who are looking at me, to add the 5th when we become lucky enough to become grandparents. No pressure. Now, all of us have various charities that we can help for so many different and important causes. That can be working full-time for the charity, volunteering, or financial support. Ellen and I decided early on that we would focus on education, and we think it's important to do that earlier in life. It's a time of hopefully great personal growth in high school, where your values may be strengthened or weakened. That's not that unusual today. Where you get to explore not just your studies, but athletics, the arts, and so many different extracurricular activities that ultimately end up rounding you out as an individual. But Loyola is special in a very different way than any other public school education can offer, and that's the emphasis on forming women and men for others. You don't necessarily see that very often today, and let's face it, it's absolutely critical in today's world, especially now. Most of you here have helped to contribute to Loyola Academy in your own special ways, and I really encourage you to continue that effort. Ellen and I have said that our gifts to the school are ones that hopefully keep on giving, help educate and influence a person who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity of studying at Loyola, then wait for them to pay back the investment we make in them for future generations. And it's not just the student you're helping, it's his or her family right now, and it's the families that hopefully they will have moving forward into the future. So Father Greg said this, and it really is true, that it's a gift that keeps on giving. And so I want to turn over to Ellen, who wants to say a few words.
Thank you, Father Greg, for your very kind words. Congratulations and welcome to you for your first President's Dinner. Keep saying to him, I know your mom is looking down from heaven on you, Father. So that's awesome. I know my kids are worried that I usually have a purse and bring out things to say, and they're like afraid of what I'm going to say next. But I can tell you, it was like boiling down a stew. I had pages and pages, and anyway, Pete's like, no, but anyway, it's hard to. Sometimes I'm usually not a person that's at a loss for words, but today I think I am. But anyway, I want to thank you, first of all, to our awesome children, to our family, to our dear friends, and to each of you who have taken the time to come here today and to raise scholarship money for our Loyola families. We'd also like to acknowledge our beloved parents, grandparents, and other relatives who came before us, who lived with great purpose and passed on their faith. All of us, wouldn't be here without the sacrifices that everyone before us lived by. This is pretty important now. Peter and I are very grateful for this honor, but we'd like to share it with everyone on the front lines at Loyola. Everyone who gets up early every day to cook and clean, to build and maintain, to teach and coach, to guide and counsel, to raise the necessary funds, to administrate, and to lead. Each of you deserve the Daniel A. Lord Award much more than us. So I'd like to just give a shout out to the teachers, the fundraisers, everyone here that works day after day at Loyola, and give you a hand. You're the ones that deserve the award. Okay. So you probably all know the saying that everyone has a disability and some are just more visible. Well, I'd like to suggest that everyone is a hero. Some are just more visible. For all of you hidden heroes, you can run, but you cannot hide. We know you are here. God knows you are here. You are the women and men for others. You're the reflections of God's love in this world. So all of you have heroes in your life. I just want to acknowledge those hidden heroes. They don't get an award. Nobody knows their name. But we know who you are. So everybody clap for your heroes. As parents, we all love our children and want to prepare them for the joys and difficulties life can bring. But by the time high school comes around, our kids are hardly home. They're running off to school after a quick breakfast. They're often involved in after-school sports and other clubs or activities. They get home and eat in 10 minutes and go upstairs for a few hours of homework, usually till 1 or 2 a.m. The reality is that they're spending more time away from us than with us. So how do we pass on our most important values? It's been a windy day outside, and yet you can't see the wind, but we know it's there. You can't hold it in your hands. And I think of that way in terms of faith, hope, compassion, and certainly love. You cannot hold these things in your hands. You can't click on Amazon and order 3 big bags of integrity to be delivered tomorrow. Or look for the recurring order of forgiveness that'll come on the first of every month. That's where Loyola comes in. It provides an important and caring environment where values are imparted in every class with a focus on service to others. They help our children learn to form their own thoughts and positions, not just following the crowd. They are asked, what is my role in all of this? Am I a part of the problem or the solution? Mostly, and as important as this is today, as we all know, how do my decisions affect others? And I guess I'll riff on this a little bit. You can be so intellectual. You can have all kinds of charismatic abilities. You can be a leader who pulls people along. But if you don't have the right values, it's deadly. And we all see that. So I want to say that Loyola, at least at Loyola, you can emphasize those discussions. So there's a reason why the Jesuits have been successful in education for over 500 years. They help teach our children how to think critically and how to lead. So again, especially to the younger generation, we're supposed to leave this world a better place. And we all don't have as much time left. But the time we have left, we need you to step forward. And, wherever it is, at your workplace or with your peers or hopefully at the theater, at the Father McGrath Family Performing Arts Center, that it will help kids learn to get up in front of people and not be afraid to say their opinion. Anyway, when Mary was in grade school, we lived in Pennsylvania, and everywhere we moved, they said, we have the finest school district in the country. And I remember she was in first grade, and they had to do something with the letters of the alphabet. What's a word for the letter G? She says, God. And the teacher said, oh, we're not allowed to use that word around here. So we left the greatest school district in the country and went down to little humble St. Scholastica, where we just felt more comfortable there. And to our John, who the teachers always called, he's a warm iceberg. There's a lot beneath the surface. You get that from you, and you get that from the teachers you have here. You get that from the parents of your friends here. And as I say, as parents, we can do so much, but there's holes in what we can offer our kids. So you just hope that they get in an environment where there are people who you respect, people that can do things that we can't do, and that they can learn from those people. And that's why we were so grateful to have these kids come here to Loyola Academy. So, and Father, I just have to say something about, I know you're all like this, but about the German class. I won't mention his name, but I did go to one of the administrators when I was at German class and asked, could we have a German party and bring cookies? And he looked at me like this. He says, no, we don't do things like that here, like we do over there. But we did it anyway. And I think Hare Grove loved those cookies. So anyway, so I want to thank you from both of us for your continued support to make Loyola Academy available to others who may not have the financial means to attend, and it truly makes a difference. I have to admit, on the way here, I was thinking, I think we're like the sticker on the car. We're the 2002 sticker. The cars were started when Loyola started. They get better every year. They have more people giving ideas, and they're getting better every year. But no matter what a great car you have, if you don't have the gas for it, it's not going to go anywhere. We need the gas or the electricity to keep the car going. And we need everybody to continue to help in a small way. We need the young generation to step up to the plate. So thank you. Thank you, and please accept our deepest respect and gratitude for this wonderful honor.
Thank you. Thank you again. I have a few closing remarks and thank yous to make. So first off, as Ellen pointed out, all of our tuition Thank you. So, as Ellen pointed out, all of our proceeds from this evening's event do go to our tuition assistance fund. So thank you for helping our neediest students. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our advancement team. And that's not just, Bob and Brianna, who are standing here and were the ones making sure that I actually went up the on-ramp instead of out the exit door 5 minutes ago. But everyone who's here involved with advancement, Tom and Les and Lynn and Shelby, the whole crowd. It's not all that glamorous a job. They do a really good one. For you business people out there, they are fully 25% of our top line. The school could literally not operate on a yearly basis without what they do. So please join me in thanking them. And then finally, I'd also like to thank some of our supporters from this evening. I'd like to just read through the list because that's one of the things that we try and teach our students at Loyola Academy is gratitude. Also, one of them is my boss. So here we go. Wintrust Bank, Gibson's Restaurant Group, Empower Illinois, Guaranteed Rate, Symphony Financial, and also the following individuals: Kim and Jim Walsh, Katie Hackett Baisley and Jamie Baisley, Kathy and Chris Perry, Kathy and Brian Johnson, Nancy Parody and Steve Naughton, the Weschler family, Melinda and Pete and Christopher Lister, Patty and Dan McGrath, Hobie Murnane Jr., Jill and Fred O'Connor, Barb and Bob Perkis, Laura and Job Pojacek. Please join me in thanking them as well. And finally, one last thanks to you, to everyone who has come here, especially to the staff and faculty of Loyola Academy. Your presence here means a great deal to me. Thank you. The bar is open, and so is the food. Enjoy.